In the annals of history, few figures loom as large and as enigmatic as the unsung heroes whose true motives remain veiled for centuries. We speak of a man whose cunning saved a continent, a strategist so brilliant his double game went undetected by the very empire he deceived, and whose legacy, though celebrated, was riddled with a mystery that baffled historians for millennia. Imagine a solitary figure, playing the ultimate long game, his loyalty questioned, his genius misunderstood, yet without him, the very foundations of what we call Western civilization might never have been laid. This is the untold story of Themistocles, the double agent who saved Europe, and whose secret was only truly understood centuries later. In the early 5th century BCE, the Hellenic world teetered on the brink of annihilation. The vast Achaemenid Empire, led by the formidable Xerxes I, stretched from India to Egypt, its might seemingly limitless. Having crushed a previous Greek rebellion, Xerxes now set his sights on total conquest, assembling the largest invasion force the ancient world had ever seen. His army, a multicultural juggernaut, and his navy, numbering hundreds of ships, were poised to engulf the fragmented Greek city-states. For Athens, a burgeoning democracy clinging to its independence, the coming storm was not just a threat to sovereignty, but an existential peril to its unique way of life, promising an end to self-governance, philosophy, and nascent arts. The fate of an entire civilization hung by a thread. Amidst this existential dread, a controversial Athenian statesman emerged, Themistocles, a man of humble origins but soaring ambition. He possessed a foresight few could match. When the Oracle of Delphi cryptically advised Athens to seek refuge behind wooden walls, panic ensued. While others envisioned barricades, Themistocles interpreted it as a divine command to build a mighty fleet. He convinced the Athenians to divert newfound silver from the Laurion mines, not for temples or personal wealth, but for triremes, powerful, agile warships. This audacious and unpopular decision, pushing resources into naval power rather than land defense, was a testament to his strategic genius and unwavering conviction in the face of widespread doubt. As Xerxes' forces breached the famed pass of Thermopylae, bought at the cost of Spartan heroism, the path to Athens lay open. Panic gripped the city. Themistocles, however, remained resolute. He orchestrated the most controversial and daring act of his career, the complete evacuation of Athens. Women, children, and the elderly were sent to safety on nearby islands, leaving the city to the Persians' wrath. This harrowing decision, to abandon their cherished homes and temples, was a gamble of epic proportions, designed to deny Xerxes a definitive victory on land and force the confrontation onto Themistocles' preferred battleground, the sea. The stage was set for a desperate naval showdown. With the Greek fleet gathered at the narrow strait of Salamis, morale was low, and commanders argued for retreat. It was then that Themistocles executed his most audacious deception. He dispatched his trusted slave, Sisinus, to Xerxes with a fabricated message. The Greeks were terrified and planning to flee, but if the Persian fleet blocked both exits of the strait that night, they could trap and destroy the entire Hellenic navy. Xerxes, arrogant and eager for a swift victory, swallowed the bait. He ordered his ships to seal the exits, spending the night maneuvering into position, exhausting his crews. The grand Persian trap, meticulously set, was in fact a masterpiece of Greek cunning, a deception that would decide the fate of nations. The dawn of the Battle of Salamis revealed Xerxes' colossal fleet squeezed into the narrow strait, their superior numbers rendered useless. The tightly packed Persian ships collided, became entangled, and struggled to maneuver, while the lighter, more agile Greek triremes, expertly handled, darted in for the kill. Themistocles' strategy was devastatingly effective. From a golden throne overlooking the chaos, Xerxes watched in horror as his supposedly invincible navy was systematically dismantled. By day's end, the Persian fleet was shattered, their imperial ambitions at sea utterly crushed. This single, decisive battle, born from Themistocles' unparalleled strategic foresight and audacious deception, marked the turning point of the Persian Wars, preserving Greek independence and a nascent Western tradition. Despite his monumental achievement, Themistocles' triumph was short-lived. His ambition, cunning, and controversial tactics alienated many. Accusations of corruption and tyrannical tendencies began to mount. Within a decade of Salamis, the man who saved Greece was ostracized, banished from the city he had preserved. The irony was profound. The hero of Athens became an exile. Unable to find refuge among his fellow Greeks, Themistocles made a truly astonishing move. He fled to the very Persian Empire he had so masterfully defeated. Xerxes' successor, Artaxerxes I, not only welcomed him, but granted him lands and cities. Was this the final betrayal, or a further layer of Themistocles' inscrutable long game? His true allegiances were now forever blurred. For centuries, historians grappled with the enigma of Themistocles. Was he a selfless patriot, a cunning opportunist, or a man whose vision transcended conventional loyalties? His later life, serving the Persian king, cast a long, ambiguous shadow over his earlier heroism. It wasn't until much later, through painstaking analysis of ancient texts and a deeper understanding of geopolitical strategies, that the full extent of his complex genius began to emerge. His double-agent maneuver at Salamis, his calculated risks, and even his later actions with Persia have been re-evaluated as potentially part of a grand, lifelong strategy to ensure the survival and prosperity of Greece, even if it meant playing both sides or sacrificing his own reputation. His methods were unorthodox, his character deeply flawed, yet his impact undeniable. The Battle of Salamis was more than a military victory. It was a cultural watershed. Had Persia prevailed, the course of history, and indeed Western civilization, would have been irrevocably altered. There would be no golden age of Athens, no Plato, no Aristotle, no foundational democratic principles as we know them. It was Themistocles' singular, audacious act of deception, his willingness to play a dangerous double game, that created the conditions for this survival. He ensured the Greek spirit of inquiry, individualism, and nascent democracy could flourish, shaping philosophy, science, and governance for millennia. A complex figure, forever debated, but undeniably the secret architect of Europe's destiny, a double agent whose vital role was whispered through history, its true significance only fully recognized after centuries of contemplation. The story of Themistocles is a profound testament to the power of individual brilliance and the intricate tapestry of historical events. A figure of paradoxes, hero and exile, savior and perceived traitor. His life reminds us that history is rarely black and white, and true impact often emerges from the shadows of complex motivations. He was the ultimate double agent, not merely for a kingdom, but for the very idea of civilization, steering the course of humanity with a masterstroke of deceit. His secret, hidden in plain sight, was that the survival of the West depended on one man's audacity, a truth we now recognize, centuries after the waves of Salamis first crashed upon the shores of destiny.